Hey guys, a lot of people are asking me about the truth of Burning Man, like what's actually happening. So what's actually happening is that yes, there are 70,000 people trapped here. We cannot fly out, we cannot drive out, we cannot bike out. Pretty terrifying actually. In some ways it's been fun, in some ways it's been scary. The ways it's been scary is a lot of people that are in tents and that are in yurts are completely flooded. A lot of people have run out of food and water, and some people are stealing things because that's what happens when things get weird. There's a little bit of this like Lord of the Flies vibe, if you remember that book, where things just might get really weird. So we're okay today, but I think it might get worse. We've also heard of vandalizing of art, which is pretty terrifying. But the good news is that most people right now, the sun came out for a second. Most people are in high spirits. There's music playing. People are dancing. People are still preserving a lot of energy because that's something that might happen. The big storm's supposed to come tonight and Sunday, which means we might be here till Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. It just depends. And we don't even know. We don't even know what's going to happen, which is pretty scary. Personally, we have enough tuna for the next month, so I'm okay. But
So some pretty major news is developing at the Burning Man Festival. It's not much of a festival this year. This is happening in Black Rock, Nevada. It's usually a desert, but for some reason it's raining this year, and the government is blocking the roads, telling people to shelter in place. There are thousands of people there. And here's the headline from New York Times. Trapped in mud, Burning Man attendees are told to conserve food. Now, what's interesting is, according to the subheadline here, organizers cut off access in and out of the festival. Yeah, I don't think you have the right to just bar the exit and to take everybody captive. So maybe it's the organizers and the police/government colluding to block off the exits. This is sinister. And so it's a very interesting crowd which goes to Burning Man. A lot of communist and socialist types. But I still don't want them to get killed by the government, even though a lot of these people do support murderous governments themselves. This user on Twitter, the 1351 Project, says now that they're locked in, we might see what happens to their socialist utopia when supplies start getting low. Here's a headline from USA Today. Burning Man shelter in place. Mud closes roads. It's not the mud, it's the organizers and the government. Thousands told to conserve water and food. So another iteration of this pattern that we keep seeing with the road closures. Evacuate, shelter in place, stay at home, leave your home. Just governments barking orders at people. This could get really bad here. So for example, that video we just watched where the woman said that they had tuna for months. But then the question is, do the prepared people help out the others? I think this is an orchestrated situation. And all these unsuspecting people are now in a super intense psychological experiment. And I think this could really devolve quickly. I hope I'm wrong, but this whole situation seems manufactured to me to create this spectacle where people are barred off, can't leave, and then the world sees what happens to them. So now it seems obvious that footage we saw just a couple days ago with the climate change protesters blocking the road and the police coming in and knocking it over with force. That event seems even more staged at this point. So if I had to guess at this point, I would say that that seems like a staged event. Which I worry, what does that indicate? There was this huge event that the whole world saw, probably hundreds of millions of times. The road to Burning Man cut off by climate change protesters. And then the police barrel through and clear the road. And now we're on the precipice of a huge disaster where thousands of people are left without supplies, stranded in a flooded desert. First, the climate change protesters block the road, and the police get angry and knock it over. And then just days later, the news is going to tell us that climate change is locking all these people at the Burning Man Festival. All of these thousands of people, unsuspecting, innocent people, are being locked down, told they're not allowed to exit, not allowed to go home, and to conserve their food and water. Now, this story is still young, and we'll have to see what happens. But I think things are setting up to be calamitous.
A lot of people have run out of food and water, and some people are stealing things because that's what happens when things get weird. There's a little bit of this like Lord of the Flies vibe, if you remember that book where
we were joking like there's going to be all these rumors that 70,000 people are stranded in the desert and they're out of food and it turned into Hunger Games.
All right, at the time I'm publishing this video, I'm starting to see breaking news about quarantines and fencing being put up around the camp. Major news will be covered in the next episode. I might not be able to post it onto YouTube. So make sure to subscribe to my backup channel and also to my Rumble. I think this is going to become a huge story for months and months. That's my guess at this point.